We should. We could be like one of those shows that just starts it immediately.
Oh, okay.
No, I was watching a couple different shows online, not Disney related, and I won't say the names of the show, but like the minute like they click live, like they just start talking, and there's actually been times that you miss like a couple of the first words. Like,
and they're probably really, really, important first words.
I mean, in my opinion, every word is important.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Just give us literally less than 1 minute. And let's do it on this site. We had a little fun little show we're gonna do. It's a special show. We are still gonna do our normal show for Tuesday.
Thursday.
Yes.
Yep.
We just thought a lot of people at home, special day. Let's share the love a little bit. All right. There's that. Let me open up this. Maximize that. Do this. That's not what I wanted. Darn you, Microsoft Word. Okay. Are you ready, Mr. Chris?
I am ready.
All right. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Fantastic Memories Travel, and its Master Travel Group. The Master Travel Group focuses on Disney destination vacations, and the Master agents would love to take care of the stressful parts of your vacation planning, so you can focus on the fun. You can check them out at massmastertravel.com. MickeyMonthly.com brings you a monthly surprise box of Disney goodies direct from the Disney parks each month. MickeyMonthly.com curates the perfect custom box for your family and has options including Disney trading pins, Main Street snacks, and authentic Disney park merchandise. Packages start at only $7. Cure your Disney withdrawal today by heading over to MickeyMonthly.com and use our special promo code RADIO35, that's RADIO 35, to save 35% off of your first box. And now Streaming the Magic proudly presents Behind the Ears Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. I am Uncle Danny. Alongside of me tonight is Mr. Chris on this Memorial Day weekend. Mr. Chris, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. It was an absolute gorgeous day for Memorial Day. I managed to get slightly sunburnt, even though I was only in the sun for just a little bit. Of course, I look at a picture of the sun and get sunburnt. But it was a great day today.
You know, I would feel bad if we didn't bring this up first. And I know a lot of people are going to be banging on the door saying, hey, let's talk Pandora. Let's do questionnaire. We're going to get to all that. But on a day like this where so many people sacrifice their life to give Chris and myself the opportunity of speaking like this, I found a pretty cool little poem. It's called To Them We Owe, and it was by Don Nielsen. So I just want to say it real quick, and we'll move on from that. Happened today and in the past, sacrifice made for ours to last. Wives to widows, families torn, gave their lives for them who mourn. Gone forever, souls are lost. Freedom comes with a cost. Enjoy the life they did preserve. Fate they suffered did not deserve. On this day, least we forget, to whom we owe, our life is in debt. And, you know, the end of that poem is basically the whole sentiment of what I just said before. You know, if without those sacrifices made by previous generations and even current people fighting overseas, we would not be able to be where we are today. So from myself and Chris and the Behind the Ears podcast, we thank all of you, you know, and your families for the crazy amount of sacrifices you guys go through so people like me and him can chat about Disney. So thank you. So what else went on this weekend?
I'll tell you one thing. I'm just gonna do a small, really quick news blip, and only because it's a Northwest Indiana thing.
Okay.
So this was actually one of the local news things, and I don't necessarily know how accurate this is. I'll be really, really super duper honest. But this comes from WBN 12, the website there, and it's news for Valparaiso, Indiana. And get this. Reports about Hollywood this morning are confirming that a portion of the next Star Wars movie will be filmed near Valparaiso, Indiana. Yeah! The undisclosed location near Valparaiso will represent a previously unknown planet in the Star Wars universe. And if you know about Valparaiso, it's not too much of a stretch. I'm just kidding. I love Valparaiso. Beautiful city, really is. No details were released as to exactly when the production would take place in the Valpo area, but they stated that it should begin no later this fall. A casting call for extras will be announced well before that time period, however. Local fans of the film series were understandably excited about the news and especially excited about the prospect of becoming an extra in the film after producers made the short statement released to the press earlier today, and I quote, "We think that Valparaiso is a great place to find the hundreds of extras for our alien population, and we're very excited about filming here." Well, I'll tell you what, that's really cool because I mean, Valpo is a nice area. It has a great college, Valparaiso University. Go Crusaders, and you know, I can see that it's a big potential for a lot of different extras, and it's kind of on the edge of the Chicago suburbs. It's just one of those things. I won't say it's out in the middle of nowhere, but it's pretty darn close to it. I see some potential there. It'd be kind of cool. No, I am not going to go try to be an extra. I'll just let you know. I mean,
there's a joke somewhere in there.
Yeah, I got a face made for radio. So, but that's actually kind of cool. I mean, I think if that is actually a legit news story, which I'm hoping it is, it would be kind of neato. I think it would be pretty epic. So, Danny, back to you.
So, there was a lot of exciting news coming out of Disney, and we're going to touch on a few things today. Now, with that being said, this episode is not going to be 100% on Pandora. I'm going to give you a rundown what we're going to talk about so you guys can grasp what we're going to be doing here tonight. Because this is a bonus episode. This is something that me and Chris just kind of were like, hey, we're kind of sitting around. Why not, touch on everything? We, behind this podcast, we're lucky enough to have several people volunteer their time to write pieces for us. Alexandria is one of our writers. And she was lucky enough to be in the park's opening day of Pandora. And originally, she was like, hey, I'm just going to send you notes, just dot something up real quick. And her notes turned into a very lengthy blog piece. So it's going through the editorial process as we speak, and it will be released tomorrow. So tomorrow, not only will you guys get a in-depth look of what Pandora was on paper, you are also going to get an in-depth look of Pandora from Chris and my eyes, even though we weren't there, from everything that we saw, we heard, people calling us, and that's what tomorrow's show will be about. Tonight's show, we're going to touch on that. We'll touch on Guardians of the Galaxy. We'll touch on opening day weekend for Pirates of the Caribbean, and then at the end of the show, we're going to open up the floor to you guys for a real Q&A. Not, hey, randomly just send us questions. No, we will give you guys like a 3-minute heads up when we're heading into our last, section of things so you guys can start rapid firing questions in and we can talk about it, everything. So, people were complaining about the lines, Chris, and, Pandora being open. You know what? Before we even get into the lines, did you hear the process of how they were letting people into the park?
I didn't hear specifically, but from the pictures and some very brief commentary I saw, there was a queue to get into Pandora, and they were limiting the number of people to, I don't have a specific number. I shouldn't have said it like that. They were limiting the number of people because it was getting so darn crowded. They even had a queue to get into the gift shop. Everything was queued, but if you had fast passes to something for a certain time, they did make some exceptions for those people and so on and so forth. There was just a lot of crowd control that was going on just to get into the land.
Yeah. So doors opened with extra magic hours at 7 a.m. Most of the buses were hitting the resorts around 6 a.m. is what I've been hearing. Now,
not to interrupt you, but I saw pictures of people posting pictures of standing in front of Animal Kingdom at 4 a.m. Eastern time.
Yes, and they were most likely the people that did not stay and could not get extra magic hours.
Okay.
That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. So the story is, as it's being told to me, was buses started picking people up at 6 a.m. Now, I know Chris had seen, and I saw in other places that people were lining up as early as 4 a.m. to get into the park. Now, if you don't stay at a Disney resort, you don't get extra magic hours. So technically, for them, the park does not open until 8 a.m. So if you were at a Disney resort, you were in there at 7 a.m. They said at one point that the line from Pandora reached to the parking lot just to get in the gates.
I heard that it, at the very least, the line at one time ended up at guest relations, at least back before the the gates themselves. Back to the parking lot, didn't hear that, didn't see that. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. Now, granted, could that be a stretch? Maybe was it to the front gate? Sure, and people are like, hey, we're basically in the parking lot. That easily could have been what happened. But still, even say you just went to the front gate, even guest relations. If anybody, try to think of it in your head about how big Animal Kingdom is and how much it had to wind through to get there.
Here's another point of reference. Don't forget, Pandora is in the former Camp Mini Mickey.
Yes.
So you basically go down the hill to the Tree of Life, hook left, kind of go past Pizza Safari, and keep going. That is kind of where Pandora somewhat starts.
Yeah. I did hear the back entrance, the back exit or entrance, however you want to look at it, of Pandora is actually very tranquil because a lot of people don't know it's there. And I don't want to give a lot away because I don't know. I'll give certain things away and I don't want to seem like I'm hiding it, but until I can actually experience it, and I'll literally be there in 12 days. So once I get back, we're going to have a whole nother Pandora show the minute I get back. Just about how the experience was.
Danny's going to have a Pandora show when he gets on the plane to come home.
And people were like, hey, why weren't you down there this weekend? And it's not that I didn't want to be part of part of the group of people that were able to be there. I don't have the patience to wait online 5 hours. I don't. The thing is okay. I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to immediately regret it once it comes out. I'm excited for Pandora. I am. But it's 2 rides.
And a restaurant.
And a gift shop. Does anybody else feel the same way? Like that?
But keep in mind, I bet you any money, though, dude, it may be only 2 rides. I have a feeling they're going to expand that. Because they have to. You can't just have 2 rides and something like that. But but the ambiance itself makes you feel like you're, you are on Pandora. And I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I saw pictures in the morning, I saw pictures in the afternoon, and I saw pictures at night, which gave me goosebumps.
That's what my next statement was going to be. As much as I got on them just now for the 2 rides, the pictures that I've allowed myself to see, and I have not watched any of the ride spoilers. And normally Chris is the one that's like, nope, not going to watch it. I want to experience it for myself. And I'm the one that's like, bring it on. I want to watch them all. Like, there's times I sit home on break and I watch YouTube videos of like different rides in like Tokyo just because I'm obsessed. But with me knowing that I was going to be there in 2 weeks, I didn't really want to spoil too much of it. But from the pictures I saw at night, man, that park, you could have no rides in it. For what I've seen, the ambiance that they perform at night, ooh, boy, it looks freaking cool.
Yeah, there's a lot to it that is a lot more than meets the eye. And I think it kind of, what's the best way of putting it? I do think they're eventually going to do more with the land itself. They kind of, I don't want to say they have to, but keep in mind there's two other Avatar films that are coming out, and I am sure that they are going to expand accordingly. Okay, I shouldn't say I'm sure. My anticipation is that they are going to consider plussing the experience over a period of time, so it's not just a one-trick pony.
Yeah. Now, Sandy, you bring up an interesting point. Sandy says, isn't Star Wars Land and Toy Story Land only going to have 2 rides, but the ambiance is going to be incredible? Now, if you guys saw, I wrote a blog post about a week ago about Toy Story being announced during the D23. They'll announce opening year and possibly date. That is been confirmed in Toy Story that there will be 2 rides. There's going to be the spinner attraction, which is basically going to be teacups, and then there's also going to be the Slinky ride, which is going to be a roller coaster, very family friendly. With that being said, I mean, Star Wars, there's really not much known. There's a lot of speculation out there what Star Wars is going to be, and I do believe that you are right that the ambiances for the 2 parks and 3 we'll throw Pandora in there absolutely is going to be what carries over into not having a lot of rides in there. But I believe that Star Wars will be the biggest and the greatest, and that's coming from a non-Star Wars fan. Speaking hypothetically, because we've reached out to Disney, we've reached out to many people. There's been nothing confirmed by Disney, but it seems to be not only land wise, but the amount of construction teams that are coming in and out of there, that that Star Wars is definitely going to be very immersive compared to everything else. Cynthia says we have fast passes for Friday and Saturday. Hopefully some of the crowd is gone. It's horrible here right now. Yeah, Cynthia, I would love to tell you it's going to die down. And I mean, it will. I mean, this was Memorial Day weekend. It was opening weekend. But all the people that didn't come this weekend that wanted to wait a week, you're going to get them next week. I
mean, it's going to be, for the foreseeable future, Animal Kingdom is going to overshadow everything else. It's as simple as that. Some people said that this was, someone said, and I do, forgive me, I know it's a person that listens and watches avidly, so forgive me, but it was said that this is the first time that Animal Kingdom ever experienced a closure in the sense of restricting guest entry ever, which is a pretty big ordeal. Taking into consideration, you hear about it all the time at Magic Kingdom, especially for special events and so on and so forth. You never hear about it for Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom was always like, this, kind of like the stepchild of parks, right? I mean, everybody would always ask, is Animal Kingdom a full day park or not? Well, guess what? Now it's a full day park. Regardless if you spend, a little bit of time, I bet you any money, 2 years from now, it's still going to be busy, even though probably not as busy it is right now, which is actually a benefit for guests. So we'll have to see how it goes, how it happens.
2 comments. So John says, awesome to see this many people. He used to be one of the 10 people that he used to tune into our show. Great job. He has a question. Him and his fiance are heading actually to Disney Universal. Now, he commented on the side. Me and him were talking a couple days back. I've known John for many years now. And I was trying to walk him through certain things to do in Disney. And, to bring up the Universal thing, I will say this, and it's just, I'm going to be quick, John, about it because, it is what it is. If you're going to get any type of their fast pass system, just stay in Harry Potter. Besides that, that's a different show, different conversation. But if you need more information on Disney, you know where to find me. Kayla brings up another interesting point. It's very sad how Disney got rid of a lot of attractions for just 2 rides, assuming Star Wars, Toy Story, and Pandora have only 2 rides. Now, let's touch on that for a second. Because Pandora took away Camp Mickey. Come on.
And they moved the Festival of the Lion King, which was the only real attraction in Camp Minnie and Mickey. The only other thing in Camp Minnie and Mickey was a meet and greet, and they moved that too. So it's not like there was no deduction of attractions at Animal Kingdom to bring on Pandora.
Now let's go over to MGM. Listen, when everything was there, it was a dying land. I mean, people used to joke that, I used to make fun of people that said, I used to say all the time, Animal Kingdom's a half-day park. And people are like, what about MGM? I'm like, look at all the things to do at MGM. You walked in MGM, you could see tumbleweeds rolling through MGM. There wasn't much going on. And I'm a huge backlot tour fan. And I was sad to see that was that was the first ride to go, right?
It was. I mean, in the backlot tour, people have always said it was a little dated.
Yes.
Especially the beginning part when they did, tried to do the reenactment scene from Pearl Harbor, which was really kind of cool. But, I understand some people just didn't see the value in it. And then they got rid of Lights, Motors, Action, which,
thank goodness.
As much as I liked the show, it was also getting a little dated. And from what I understand, it was very expensive maintaining that because they had to maintain all those vehicles all the time. And as hard as they, rode those vehicles, oh yeah, I can imagine the thousands upon thousands of dollars per day in maintaining those types of vehicles. Heck, I have a hard time maintaining my truck last week, but that's a whole different story. So they got rid of that.
Osborne Lights, like Ian said.
Well,
that one,
I'll tell you right now, that is a quasi-political type item because that had a following. I mean, to be very honest, I bet you any money they could have done Osborne Lights all year long, and they would have actually drove the crowds in all the time. The Streets of America was actually kind of a cool, backdrop. I mean, that's an actual backdrop that was used on some sitcoms and actual, recording and stuff like that.
But I mean, really, you want to see tumbleweeds? That was the area to go watch them in.
To be very honest, you're absolutely true. I mean, they had one vendor there for merch, and every once in a while you would see Mulch, Sweat, and Cheers over there performing a show, which was really, really cool. It was kind of neat for ambiance, but it was after they kind of took out the studios portion of Hollywood Studios, you're right, Ghost Town City, USA. But they didn't really change. They didn't take out a whole lot. I mean, they still packed the house at Lights Motors Action. Backlot Tour needed refurbishment, and I'm trying to think what else they took out. I mean, obviously they changed a few other things.
Well, they got rid of American Idol, but that had really nothing to do with Star Wars.
It had nothing to do with it. And now that American Idol's coming back on TV, who the heck knows? But right now they're not going to get rid of that because they got the Frozen sing along going on over there, and they're certainly not going to be changing that because that's still a very popular attraction.
I want to bring something up because I was so sad, and actually one of the T-shirts that we're designing is a backlot tour. A little sneak peek into what I'm doing here.
You didn't even tell me that.
No, I didn't.
Everybody got a little bit of a sneak peek before Mr. Chris here. Hello. I better be getting one of those shirts.
Oh, of course. But Ian brings up a very interesting point.
What's that?
And had nothing to do with the backlot tour, but it made me start thinking about where we could have moved things. And Ian says, bring back Osborne Lights to Disney Springs. I'm sure the stores and restaurants would love that draw, and the audience would love that they can see it without a park entrance fee. Here's the thing, though. It's a very expensive show.
But here's the thing. And I know this is kind of going down a tangent into left field, and I'm sure we can go down this rabbit hole as far as we want. I do not disagree that it would make great sense to put that over in Disney Springs. Now that they've actually built Disney Springs up, here's the thing. You may not be able to do that to its fullest extent, but you might be able to use the technology that it grew into and do an ongoing show, from September through part of January. I mean, I know it would take a long time to get set up, and I'm sure that it would be disruptive to the flow of Disney Springs. And they just spent millions upon millions of dollars, setting up some of those storefronts. I'm not really sure they would even want to modify the storefronts for that purpose. I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing. I'm not a big retailer, but it's just one of those things I'm thinking of. But yeah, I mean, they could have done something with it. I mean, even if they moved it, I don't know.
Kayla brings up Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That's gone. Correct.
Yeah, the playground.
Are we really going to squabble over Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? Is this really happening? And no, Muppets 3D is not gone, is it?
No, but Muppets is still there.
I was going to say they just redid Pizza Planet for Pizza Rizia, which is a Muppets. It's in Muppets Courtyard.
Yeah,
that will go.
I mean, but the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids playground area, I'll admit, John, when he was younger, loved it. He loved that sort of thing. And to tell you the truth, sometimes I know it seems weird to adults. Obviously, it's bizarre why kids would want to run around and something like that. Quite simply, they need a break on some things. But it is just one of those. It is one of those cases where, Yeah, they got rid of that, and not really an interactive attraction. But it was nice when they used the Streets of America for things like when they had the Cinderella carriage there and the glass slipper. That was kind of a nice little photo opportunity type of thing when the live action Cinderella came out. That was actually really cool and a really good movie, I might add.
So, we've been talking a lot about things that are being taken away for Star Wars and Toy Story and how fantastic Pandora seems to be. We're not going to touch into the wait times necessarily because I'm actually writing a piece on it, and I'll give you guys a little sneak. Look, you get 2 sneak peeks tonight. 2. I'm doing a comparison of what it was like for the 2 rides in Pandora compared to opening day for Frozen. Because Frozen, by far, was one of the craziest wait times I've ever seen posted.
I was there opening day. And all I have to say is, oh my gosh. Still haven't been on it. Yeah, when they were talking, oh yeah, it's only a 5-hour wait to go on what was once Maelstrom. I'm just like, no.
So with those wait times, I feel like the country was almost split this weekend because you had so many people on the internet and in person going and flying down the Walt Disney World for Pandora, a new land. And honestly, if you add a couple more rides to it, you could almost make it its own gate. That's almost how immersive I'm hearing it is.
Almost.
But a little park we like to call Disneyland had a little opening this weekend, and whoo, boy, some of the lines.
That was a big deal. I mean, seriously. Now, everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, there were a lot of people that were not happy about Tower of Terror at Disney's California Adventure being totally redone to become themed from Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's called Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. And I did see lines that pretty much stemmed all the way back to the gate. And it turned left and went down, around. I mean, it was also a multi-hour wait event. And I'm sure that people probably saw the video of the one reporter that wrote it. And the funny part about it is that this reporter either never rode Tower of Terror whatsoever, or he was really playing it up. But that was really, really stinking hilarious. Yep, there we go. Thank you, Sheena. Appreciate that. But yes, yeah, we did see it, and I laughed my butt off because I'm thinking to myself, don't.
It's actually over on our Facebook page, a Disney community page. It was posted by one of the fellow community people. They put it up there. Kayla, man, she's all over this feed tonight. Killing me.
We love you, Kayla.
There's been so many days where I'm like, oh, look at that. Kayla's not here. No one to argue with. Now I've got you, and I'm like, oh.
Kayla says, coffee.
I don't get it. How it's a big deal. It's just Tower of Terror rethemed. And okay. In the grand scheme of things, yes. I've watched the ride through, and the ride is 80% different. I mean, at the end of the day, you're still dropping because, I mean...
It's the same ride vehicle.
It's the same ride, just rethemed. Yes, I get that.
I didn't see the queue, though. So I don't know how the queue is set up.
Oh, the queue is immersive.
Is it really? I didn't see that yet. And being that I don't have a trip to Disneyland set up anytime soon, but
that's why I was able to watch it. Boy, oh boy, was it crazy good. Let's see. Do you really think that they won't change the whole part of CA to match the new Guardians attraction sooner than later? Ah, man, I don't think so. I don't.
See, the thing is that I think if I'm getting your statement correctly, and by all means, you could feel free to correct me. California Adventure, it's got a lot of different small themed areas. I don't want to call them lands, but they are themed areas. With obviously one of the larger ones being Cars Land, which that, my friends, is immersive. That is absolutely fantastic. But, some of the old Hollywood theme type stuff, and, that's all really cool. And I mean, I really enjoyed California Adventure when I was there. I really enjoyed it. As much as I love Disneyland, I actually equally loved California Adventure. And there's some people that would say, "How can you love California Adventure as much as the original Disneyland park?" And it just had so much to do. Both of them really, really super enjoyed it.
So 2 questions, but I'm going to save Ian's because his is a little bit more in depth. I'm going to go to Sandy's first. Do you think there are plans to change the one at MGM? No. After the backlash that they saw from over in California, they are not going to touch the MGM one for the foreseeable future. I knock on wood. It's one of my favorite rides. But at the end of the day, I don't think there's – I'm going to rephrase that. I know for a fact, as much as the public can know, that there is no way they're changing it right now. Could they change in 5 years? I mean, there's no safety net in Disney anymore. It could always change.
I agree. I mean, I think they would be doing themselves a disservice if they change Tower of Terror to something else. Mainly because unless they change that entire Hollywood Boulevard area. I mean, quite honestly, Tower of Terror fits into kind of that realm. Now, granted, the storyline is mid-30s. Most of the rest of it is, kind of in that same motif. Although they have a Cadillac there by the one shop that's actually from the 40s, but that's a whole different story. That's only a person like me that would picture that or point that out. So, I mean, it's just kind of interesting. I don't think they would change it. I think they would have to change the whole motif of that particular area, and that's not going to happen anytime soon.
No. So Ian has posed this question. Well, it's more of a statement than he wants our thoughts on it. Yeah. And just so we all know, Ian just wants to point out that he is not a DVC member. So I think this should be the order in which they allow guests into high-demand opening day locations. First up, DVC. Number 2, staying on property guests. 3, regular park ticket. And 4, AP. APs last because if you miss out, you can come back the next day, week, month, whatever. DVC being first because they're the most invested in the Disney brand. Thoughts? Now, okay.
I'll let you start off on this one.
Chris, DVC member. Me, AP member. Now, not everybody who's an AP member is lucky enough to be a Florida resident, though. So you're making that assumption that I can come back in a day, a week, or a month. Now, granted, I'll be back before most likely the regular park ticket people are. But what happens if, I go and now I go in July. What happens if my trip's not until March? That's a long time to wait.
Here's something to think about, though. I saw over the last couple of weeks, they had cast member previews. And then they had AP holder previews.
Yes. And
they had a lot of previews. Now, and there were a lot of people streaming for those previews. A lot of people taking pictures from those previews. The thing is that those people got to experience Pandora in a relatively empty land. And all of a sudden, boom, opening day comes. Now, most of those people were locals. They were locals and a lot of them that we saw that were, we saw other podcasters and other streamers, go out there and so on and so forth. We saw a lot of them, so we know that they're local. So that's kind of how we're quantifying that type of statement. Would I have flown down there just for that? I don't think I have the funds or the flexibility to be able to do that, even as a former AP holder, as a current DVC member. But I will also say this. I'm a little torn on the DVC comment, and I'll tell you why. DVC members tend to get a little bit of a bad rap because, for some reason, people think that DVC members are... Yes, we have a lot of money wrapped up in our timeshares. That is a very true statement. It's not cheap, but it's well worth it. And I've already gotten my investment well worth out of it over the past 10 years. But, I think if you wanted to treat us like APs and have special time to go there, like APs, fine. I think but I don't think what we're seeing crowd wise in Pandora is, a year from now, it's still going to be heck of busy. But
not what you saw this weekend, though.
It's not going to be what we saw this weekend. In fact, the thing is that I think Disney. Okay, let's put it this way: Disney is not stupid, folks, and we know this. They're going to see this, and if there's one thing they're good at outside of telling a darn good story, they know how to control a crowd. And I guarantee you, there are Imagineers. There are Imagineers that are stopping. They're looking at this from an industrial engineering perspective. And they're analyzing everything to try to make this the best experience possible. So it's just one of those things that, it's going to be, the experience will get better. And by the time the summer is over, it'll be a very good experience at Pandora. I'm willing to bet a shiny nickel on that because that's all the money I have in my pocket. But yeah, I mean, I think right now, DVC members, AP holders, I think, it would be nice if they had some preferential treatment. I'm not going to lie.
You know what the funny thing is? Alex joined us. Alex, how are you tonight, miss? Alex is one of the fantastic writers that we have for Behind the Ears podcast. She's actually the one that is producing the article for tomorrow. She says there was a preview for D23 members, DVC, AP, and bloggers. Well, the funny thing is, I'm 3 of those, and I didn't get invited.
I'm 2 of those and didn't get invited. And the fact of the matter is, actually, the thing is, and I've seen this happen before, there were DVC members that didn't get invited because we didn't have a current reservation falling in the time of the preview window. I mean, and I have seen where DVC members would actually get an email and say, "Hey, you're going to be here at this time. Call member services or go to this website or something like that, and see if you can get in to be a part of a preview." And that's wonderful. It really is. But the fact of the matter is that if you didn't have a current resi and you didn't know about those windows already, you're going to be bypassed automatically from that experience. I'm not, and mind you, folks, I'm not bitter when I say that, but it's just kind of the way it is. I mean, I read the boards as it is. Danny and I do both blog, and there were bloggers that were invited to go down. But again, to be very honest, there's a ton of blogs out there. I read many of them, and a lot of them are very, very good. I just don't know exactly who has done what with those things. So,
I'd like to know how to get on that list. Huh?
Well, we're trying. I mean, to be very honest, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, we would love to be a part of that. And I'm going to go ahead and do the shameless plug. If we got invited just to be a part of it, I guarantee you we would make time to go there.
I'd sell a kidney. I'd give it up. Alex, and I'm so shocked to read what she wrote. And
what was that?
Everything I've read, and now granted you were there, I get it, but from what I'm reading, I do not agree with you at all. She goes, I don't think they controlled the crowd well. I think they need to implement a system like Volcano Bay with fast passes with having no standby.
Oh, that. Okay.
Did you happen, I know you were down there, so you might not have been able to, whatever the case was, but people were freaking out at Volcano Bay. Like, they videotaped some of their cast members. I know they're employees. I don't know what they call I'll just call them their employees. Videotaping the employees basically stuttering because they didn't have an answer, and the one guy's response was, "Can I buy you a Coke? Can I buy you?" Because they didn't know what to do. They were literally getting these giant watches, and they were being told to come back in 3 hours. Yeah,
I mean, I heard basically the same thing that opening day for Volcano Bay was a horrible experience for many guests. Now, granted, I'm not a part of a lot of Universal groups or anything like that. I think I'm part of one, but so I don't know a whole lot. There are other people, in our viewing audience and listening audience that probably has a little bit more information on that. But the thing is that I think that's also why Disney did so many previews for it, just to test things out. But, the fact of the matter is that I'm not going to say that Disney didn't control the crowd well from what I saw. I just think that the crowd needed control. I mean, it was just so many people. There's no way around it. And to be very honest, I've said this before on past shows. In fact, I did a solo show on this a couple months back. But the whole idea is you have to go into a situation like that knowing that you're going to be, elbows to belly buttons, and you're going to be, completely surrounded by other people. And yes, it's going to be hot. Yes, it's going to be crowded. Yes, you're really hoping that people wore deodorant next to you. But it is just one of those things that you have to be mentally prepared. You have to know that when you go for an opening weekend at a big, big thing like that, it's not necessarily going to be an optimized an optimized experience.
So as you guys can see on the bottom of the screen, I said start asking your questions now. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to start formulating some questions. I just want to touch on something. I guess Universal calls their employees team members. So does Target. That's serious, though. They do. Easy plug for Target.
I guess you could say it's an easy target.
Oh,
sorry. That was okay. I'm sorry. We're going to lose 10% of our audience just on that joke. Hey, just remember, everybody, if you like the 9 o'clock show, the 10 o'clock show is totally different.
Linda wanted to know why go opening weekend. It will be there. It will. It's more of the experience.
I mean, exactly. It is an experience to go somewhere on opening day and to say that, yes, I was there opening day. I mean, there are a lot of people it's been highly anticipated. Now, I will say this. There were some people that did make comments about the naysayers about Pandora. And I know that in the beginning when Pandora was first announced, there were a lot of people who were like, I'm not going to worry about it. I didn't like the movie. I don't think I'm going to even enjoy it. So I'm going to bypass it. There were a lot of people who were like, meh, okay, fine, whatever. Okay, of course, there were a lot of people that had questions like, why Animal Kingdom? And I think a lot of those questions were answered throughout this past weekend. There were a lot of people that were really looking forward to it. Everybody's been saying this. You don't have to know or have seen the movie in order to enjoy Pandora.
I'm excited for it.
I'm really excited for it. Now, as I said, I haven't heard a lot of naysayers unless someone brings it up again. And again, if you didn't like the movie, that's fine. You might not get the whole background story of the land, and that's fine. But it sounds like there are still 2 very cool attractions that are there to start them off. They still have a dining experience with some very unique items that everybody says that the cheesecake is the bomb, that you have got to try the cheesecake. And you can guarantee I'm trying the cheesecake. So seriously, I mean, you gotta look at it that way. I've never been a naysayer for it. I will quote Lou Mangello back during one of the things that he said when they announced this. He's like, when people, especially not necessarily to the naysayers, but he basically said, if there's one thing that Disney and James Cameron do best, is tell a story. And I think that's what we all have to go there and experience it. And I think it's going to be a very interesting story to see what they have there.
Darla has said, Kayla's sending stuff. Darla said, I guess the movie was 3 hours, so that's how long you have to wait in line to get there. You know, and the funny thing you said that, Darla, because Stan turned around and said before, during the average wait time this weekend, you could have watched Avatar twice while standing in line before you got on the ride.
Now, I will say this. Only the Super Mega Happy Director's Cut is 3 hours, and you have to get that in the box set. The original film was only about 2.5 hours, and then there was the Director's Cut, which is 2 hours and 45 minutes, and then there was the Mega Happy one, which was 3 hours. That's one I like to watch myself.
Brian brings up an interesting point. There's a ton of stuff on the land that won't be understood until the last Avatar movie coming out in 10 years.
I bet you any money that's true. Just kind of like what I mentioned in the beginning of the show when we first started talking about this. I know it's not going to end up being just 2 rides, 1 restaurant, and a gift shop. It can't be. This is set up for expansion. Yeah. And that is something I think we have to realize. This is going to be a land that after the next movie, there will be an add-on module to it. After the last movie, there will be another add-on module to it. And I bet you any money it's going to follow more into the story, more into the backstory of it as well. So this is not done. And granted, this is my prediction. I haven't really heard anybody talk about any extra, rides or attractions that would be coming on through this. No one's really talked about that. We're probably one of the first ones that have actually brought that up. But I can't see it being done. I mean, it's just, hey, the Magic Kingdom didn't have every attraction on opening day either.
Daytona would like to know, are Pandora rides more family-friendly or more on the extreme side? Well, they have the Navi River ride, which is just a simple boat ride. People have compared it to like a Frozen or like a Pirates of the Caribbean. Then they have the, what is it called? It is called
the
flight passage. Flight of Passage. That seems to be more linked to a soaring style. There's been a lot of complaints, because it's like a Banshee style. It's almost like you almost ride it. You almost get on the ride vehicle like you would a motorcycle.
Yes.
Like a crotch rocket motorcycle.
Yeah.
And, like Sandy brings up, one of the biggest complaints she had heard that was not poo friendly. Meaning, it's not for bigger size, poo size. And I don't think it's the heavy set people. I don't think the height is really what's getting people, or mobility of being able to bend certain ways has really seemed to be a thing.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to walk over there, but you're absolutely correct. I mean, I saw a diagram of someone, like, say, if someone's in a wheelchair, and how they would have to transfer to the ride vehicle in order to enjoy the ride. And there have been some comments about that, especially from some Facebook groups that specialized in Disney guests with special needs, special mobility needs. So it's really kind of interesting to see how it goes. I mean, I'm a bigger guy. I'm 6 foot even. I'm a bigger guy. And so far, the only things I've ever had a problem getting on at Disney was Cyberspace Mountain at Disney Quest. Other than that, I'm able to get into everything.
You get in Rock and Roller Coaster perfectly fine?
No problems whatsoever.
Really? And what about Seven Dwarfs Mine Train?
Yeah, it's a little bit of legroom issue, but other than that, I don't have a problem.
Huh. Because I don't get on those rides. Well, I got on Seven Dwarfs last time, and I was literally, there's a picture of me like screaming, and it's not because the ride was fun or thrilling.
I will say one of the only rides out there is Splash Mountain that I do have to sit with someone other than my wife because of legroom. And it wasn't always that way. When they didn't have the lap bar, that was not a problem. They added that lap bar, became a problem. So I'll just leave it at that. But yes, people who have slightly, bigger girth, they have a test vehicle now that you can, give it a try. I'm really hoping I'm not disappointed. I'll be really honest with you. I'm a little nervous about it. I'm a bigger guy. Yes, I'm trying to lose the weight and this, that, and the other. It's like anything else. It's always a challenge. It's a struggle, but It is what it is. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, it is. We'll figure it out. I'm just messing around. All right, so Chris, with that being said, I think we should wrap it up.
Okay.
We will still be going live on our normal schedule. It's just a little bonus, just a little messing around with us and you guys. We still will be going live on Streaming the Magic Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week at 9:45 Eastern. I'm going to start giving you guys the nod now. And what I mean for that is I leave on June 10th. So that week that I am away, which is the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th. Normally, we would record on the 13th, 14th, 15th. I will be home in enough time on the 15th to record. The 13th and the 14th, I will be in Disney. Now, I can guarantee you right now, the 14th, I'm flying home during our flight. During the show time. So obviously,
I hope you're flying home during your flight.
There will be no show that night. The 13th, I am planning on doing a live show from the park. Chris will be taking a leave of. Chris is going to stay home and relax.
I'm taking a break. To be very honest, and actually, just to let everybody know, the last time Danny went on vacation, we try to do separate shows, and while they are fun shows to do and to do solo shows, as we call them, we decided this time around we're going to take a little bit of a break. There's also a lot of background things that we do on the for the show that our audience doesn't see, and that's what I'm going to be working on, more of the business end and making sure things are taken care of. It's not a big deal. We will be back, and just make sure that you keep your devices basically plugged here, and make sure that when you see that Streaming the Magic goes live, very well may be Mr. Danny coming to you live from Walt Disney World.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, it's not going to be a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday show. Wednesday's definitely out. Thursday I'll be back on. It might be a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday show. And if we go live, it will just be me from the parks. Chris is going to be taking that time off. We're not going to do the whole guest show. We don't have. If anybody would like to come on, you can always email us at behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to be on a guest with Chris and myself, that'd be fantastic. We are working on a few different interviews as we speak. But make sure you guys are going over to the Streaming the Magic page, and make sure you're on the page and you hit the little notification button. So when we go live, whether it's Behind the Ears Podcast or they're doing live streams from a park and resorts or they're doing trivia, whatever it could be. There's a whole plethora of shows on this channel. We just happen to be one of them. So with that being said, I am Uncle Danny. I thank you all for joining us here tonight on this special broadcast on Memorial Day weekend. Once again, we will be broadcasting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on Streaming the Magic at 9:45 Eastern. You can follow us on our social media platforms. Facebook is Behind the Ears Podcast. Instagram is Behind the Ears Podcast. Twitter is at Behind the Ears PC. Any questions, comments, concerns? Would you like to be on the show? Email us over at behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out all of our archive shows, and that is Behind the Ears Podcast. And lastly from me, guys, please make sure you're going over to iTunes and rate and review the show. Very, very important. We're working on some things to give away for you guys, but please, please, please make sure you guys are going over to iTunes, rate, and review the show. With that being said, guys, I will see you all tomorrow night. I am Uncle Danny, and I am signing out.
And I'm Mr. Chris, and I'm also signing out. Before I do, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast using your favorite app, whether it be through iTunes or through Podcast Addict or Google Play. Go ahead, subscribe. You get all the shows when they come out. But until we meet again, by all means, have a great day and a magical tomorrow. We'll see you then. Take care.